Well, hey y'all. I trust that you are well. We don't do this a lot on this channel, but I felt the need this morning to do so. I promised, and I am going to do my best to keep that promise. That I won't really mention other other people or other people who are in the BCC, Black Conservative Coalition. To I won't mention them unless I have some personal dealing with them, so I won't. What I'll mention today, though, is this. It is not that I am frustrated or upset or jealous of anyone who is doing the work now, because there are a lot of people doing the work. And like I've said, there's always been a lot of people doing the work. Um, I guess what my frustration is that the consumers of their work only or only think that that these people who are now we're seeing in the spotlight are the only people who have ever done this work. Um, I know that I personally am not a trailblazer in any way, shape, or form, and I don't consider myself a trailblazer. I just consider myself a guy, and every time that I got a chance to speak, every time I got a chance to appear somewhere, people would ask me, "Well, who are you? Where'd you come from?" And I'm like, "I'm from here, and I'm just a guy uh, who grew up here in this town, and I'm just a guy." And it is interesting that if any of the people in sort of my era, those who started doing this in 2008, late 2008 through like 2012, 13, happen to mention anybody who is currently doing the work, then we are seen as old and bitter and haters. When the fact of the matter is that nothing could be further from the truth. Um, it is nice, it's great to have people finally come along and get it. Um, and there are people who are doing that now, and that's wonderful and necessary. However, I think that we lose a lot of the richness of the movement, especially the Black conservative movement, by not acknowledging that there are people who came before us. Um, Even when I got here, so to speak, there were people who would come before me. There were people like Jesse Lee Peterson who would come before me. There was other folks that had sort of laid a foundation for what I was able to say and able to do. People like Walter E. Williams, people like Thomas Sowell. And no, those people weren't big on YouTube and they weren't big in social media because there was no YouTube or social media. There were things like, I don't know, books. uh, yeah, and so their platforms weren't as pervasive as platforms are now. Um, where we have young men on Twitter who has, and that's his platform, and it's pervasive, and he's doing a fabulous job. And there are others on YouTube and the like who are doing a fabulous job. Um, where in 2008 to 2012 was a transitional period where social media was, I'm not going to say new, but social media for the purposes of political stances was fairly new. Not a lot of people were going to YouTube. Not a lot of people were going to Twitter. Not a lot of people go to Twitter now when you think about the population of the of the country. But it is worth dealing with, and YouTube is obviously worth dealing with as well, as a platform, obviously. It might not have been early in 2008, 2000 through 2012, especially not like it is now. And as that platform grew, as this platform grew, um, it became more political, and then the progenitors, the people in charge of this platform, became more political as well. So maybe some of the things that we used to see, some of the video programming and things that you used to see from people who were, I guess, my era, you don't see very much anymore because of throttling and shadow banning and outright demonetization of their channels. It used to be a lot easier to make 50 bucks from YouTube than it is now. It used to be a lot easier. And now it is, frankly, it's damn near impossible for most people to make 50 bucks a month on YouTube, let alone the thousands of dollars that you need to build organizations or keep organizations going. Um, so when you see Prager University and you see things like people like Steven Crowder and some other folks, it is, you see them fight like, you see them fight like hell because they use that money, and they also have other ways to raise money. They take direct contributions. Steven Crowder has a mug club, and they sell gear and all sorts of things. These are all avenues, basically, that are easily available now that, quite frankly, weren't as available. And with the advent of having a black president, it was, I'm just going to say, it was tougher then than it is now. It was just tougher then. We had to, as a country, as a community, go through 8 years of Barack Obama to be able to get to now. We had to go through 8 years of Barack Obama, and at the end of it, look at Detroit as it was at the beginning and at the end of his term. We had to go through 8 years of Barack Obama to look at Chicago as it was when he left Chicago and went to Congress and spent 8 years as president. And we had to look at Chicago. And we had to look at East St. Louis. And we had to look at Ferguson. And we had to look at Los Angeles. And we had to look at other places around the country at the beginning of President Obama's term and then at the end of President Obama's term, to get perspective and to start really doing some urban conservative introspection. Because I'll tell you what, it's my personal belief, and it's only my personal belief. So for those of you who are super fans of everybody else, just chill out for just a second. It is my personal belief that there are a lot of new urban conservatives that, quite frankly, were not able to speak out during that time or were afraid to. Because it was tough going against the tide. I'm gonna tell you, it was tough going against the tide, and there were some fairly strong people who will tell you just that. The Shirley Hussar of Urban Game Changers, Sonny Johnson of Changing the Game, K.Carl Smith of Frederick Douglass organization, people like Kevin McGarry of Frederick Douglass Foundation, people like C.L. Bryant, Runaway Slave, One Nation Under God. Those people will tell you it was really tough going against the tide at that point. It was really hard. With Barack Obama in the White House, when you went into urban communities to actually sit and talk with people, because it wasn't that we were old school and afraid of technology. It just was the technology wasn't as prevalent then as it is now. So we had to do things like actually go in to communities and sit and talk to people. It's a lot more difficult. A lot more difficult. So you really can't use presence on social media now as a metric of effectiveness in the BCC, in the Black conservative community. It's not a fair comparison because of time. Okay. And it isn't like those people that I mentioned still aren't out there doing things the way they did them before, and actually talking to people, actually going to gatherings and talking to people. My friend Shirley Huzar of Urban Game Changers does both. Now she records or documents these times on Facebook and on YouTube and the like, and has a nonprofit organization called Urban Game Changers. And I'll put the link down underneath about Urban Game Changers. It is interesting that that organization is catching fire and has been catching fire all along. We often refer to it as a little engine that could, while these other organizations pop up, these other people pop up and go away, pop up and go away, and pop up and go away. It is Urban Game Changers that is the little engine that could. It just keeps going and keeps going and keeps growing and keeps growing and keeps going and keeps going. So, and I think it's basically because my friend Shirley Huzar will not give up. She will not quit. She has seen the California that she loves turn into something else entirely horrible. Um, we saw our time writing for the Washington Times come and go. And for a lot of people, that would have been the end of it. Not for my girl Shirley. No, that was really just the beginning of it. And to her credit, and to my benefit, is that she didn't look at me as somebody not worth partnering with. She had a lot more views. She had a lot more looks. She had a lot more likes. She had a lot more everything than me. But she did see something in me, and it's basically the same character. I won't quit, and I won't be driven by likes and views. You know, if this video gets 50 views and 3 likes, rock on. I don't care. Things have to be said and put into the conversation. It'd be great if I had if this video had 100,000 views in the next 3 days. That'd be great. But there's really little chance that's going to happen. The fact that you're watching it now is pretty freaking amazing. And if you would actually either like or share or subscribe to the channel, that would be even more amazing. But the fact of the matter is that it doesn't really matter. That the validity of my mission and the validity of what I'm doing and have been doing is not changed by the number of likes and the number of views. It's what I do every day outside that door. That is my mission, and that's the validity. And to see, frankly, the number of young people that are willing to explore anyway something different politically is my validation. And I'm starting to see that. I'm starting to see that where I live, and that's the most important place. I'm starting to see people who are deciding to not buy into the characterizations of who conservatives are or who black Republicans are, and really start looking at people based on policy and based on their heart and their character. And we're not flashy, not pretty, and we don't have a lot of backing. But what we do is we carry the message, and we'll continue to carry the message. Good luck to everyone who is doing well. Congratulations. Please continue to do well. We need you to do well. Please. But those of us who are out here, and like I said, the people I mentioned, people like Kevin McGarry and others, please do not think that other people are better suited to carry your message, because they are not. You are the only one who is best suited to carry your message and to carry that message of black conservatism You are the one that's best suited. And again, you may not get the likes here on YouTube, and you may not get all the adulation or the funding, but America needs you. My friend Zoe Rachel, America needs you right now. It doesn't really matter what anybody else thinks or does, or America needs you right now. Your community has needed you all along, and America needs you right now. So please be encouraged, because America needs you right now. All right, I got to get out of here. Got work to do. Until we see you again, go out there and learn something, love somebody, and for goodness sakes, y'all take care of yourself. We'll see you when we see you. Peace.